A deal on Dickens, who could resist? A stack of Austen, warmly kissed. Golden Age crime tales twist and turn, every page a treasure to learn. Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea, reading always feels so free.
Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. It feels like it has been forever since I have recorded a booktube video. Even though it might seem that I've been posting semi-regularly, a lot of these are backlogged videos. I've been struggling to get enough energy to either energy or points where I'm not having some sort of like migraine like symptoms like light sensitivity to get to a point where I feel like I can or want to do a video. So I have a feeling if I don't like do one now when my eyes aren't bothering me and when I have something resembling energy, if I don't do it now, it won't happen. And I just need to get back into the habit of doing something video wise. So hi, welcome to Talia Nerds Out. I have finished another book for Big Book Summer. And actually I was hoping to get it done, but I got done quite a bit sooner than I anticipated. This is, okay, so this book is, book/books is a bit odd because I didn't actually realize it was the same text when I picked them up because they have different titles. So I'm actually pretty sure I'm going to be letting go of one of them. And here, I'll explain what I'm talking about. This is Michelle P. Brown's Christian art. I'm very fond of her work. I've got quite a bit of her catalog of works. I have been working on her Lindisfarne Gospels for a couple of years. I pick it up, put it down, pick it up again. Eventually, I'll make my way all the way through it. I've read a few other of her books. I want to say that was hers the one that I did on? It was either her or Eamon Duffy who did the one that I read on the last. Why is it escaping my mind? There's another manuscript related one that I read. I read her book on bead. I've got quite a bit of her work. Anyway, this is her book on Christian art. I'm taking a course through the Institute of Catholic Culture where they have a several-month course on the history of Christian art. And this was initially a required text, but then they bumped it down to just recommended. I happen to already have the book. I also already happen to have the book, or the other version of the book that apparently is hard to find. I had quite a few people in the class who were kind of wishing that they were able to get a hold of it. Some of them were able to find a used copy. I picked these up like a year or more ago. Actually, I think it was more than a year ago, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. This is the Lion Companion to Christian Art. So basically, when Lion released this one, for whatever reason, they chose to do it without any pictures, which is a bit insane for me when you're doing a book on Christian art or anything of art, any sort of book on art. Like, it kind of behooves you to have the pictures of which you are speaking, because I don't know how you can hold an intelligent conversation about these works when we can't visualize them, especially, because art is in its nature a visual thing, a visual medium. So I don't understand the point of having this without the art in the book, unless they planned this purely to be used in lectures. But even then, I think that it boggles the mind why you would bother to release this without the pictures, and why this would be the one that's not released anymore. Same exact text, just that some have, this one has pictures and that one doesn't. I did annotate in this with like notes on what pages of Lion's Companion I could find the pictures on in it, because I figured, you know, since I'd already started with this one. But I'm not completely sure I will keep this particular edition. Chances are far more likely that upon rereading, I will just reread this one. And I did thoroughly enjoy this. I mean, it's an art book. What's not to enjoy? I at least enjoyed it until, oh, look at this. Leonardo da Vinci, Virgin of the Rocks. Absolutely gorgeous. This book, both books are, each of them are over 400 pages. So regardless as to which version I would have ended up reading, either of them would have counted for Big Book Summer. But I really enjoyed it up until we hit the modern age and we started getting more abstract. I can't stand abstract art. I think it's ugly. I feel like a lot of it feels like the artists are pulling the wool over your eyes, trying to convince you that they are very, like, I don't know, hoity-toity and like, advanced thinking. And it's just like, no, you just make something ugly and are telling me it means something. Maybe in your wacko mind, you believe it means something. Okay, that's not nice. Maybe you believe it means something, but I mean, look at this piece of ugliness. Isn't that hideous? A 5-year-old could do that. It makes you weep to see some of these things that they are putting in churches. At least some of the more modern things are putting in churches. And then they're going like, this is pretty art. You're like, no, that's a disgrace. Let's go back to older art that actually looked pretty and elevated your mind to, since the purpose of it was to make you think of either, you know, the heavenly, if you're dealing with the Christian art, where the focus was, you know, to aim thinking above, or to make you think of the human condition and teach a lesson that way. It, you know, could go either way. Renaissance liked a little bit more in the way of a more realistic approach a lot of times. And different versus like Byzantine, you might have a different approach that tried to emphasize with the gold and stuff the more divine aspects. But with all the pictures in this, absolutely gorgeous. It goes through Gothic. I think, where does it start? It starts you off, actually I think it starts right from the start. She starts you off with early on, you know, even as early as Judaic and Greco-Roman roots. And then she goes from there. The book could be a bit dry at points, but for the most part, it was quite good. And especially during the medieval and Renaissance periods, it was quite enjoyable to partake in, to Botticelli, Madonna. I was surprised, like some things were more recent than I realized them to be. For some reason, I didn't realize that this picture is, and it's in the book, I'm looking at it in the book as well. It's just a lot easier to hold this up than the other book. This picture here is Christ of St. John of the Cross. And I didn't realize it was as late as 1951, or that was Salvador Dali. I usually think of the melting clocks with Dali. So, I like this version of his work a lot better. And like I said, the one in there, I'm looking at the one in the art book. It's just a lot easier to hold up the smaller book with the painting on it than to hold up the full-on book. It touches a little bit on tapestry, not a lot though. I could have done without the last part that was so focused on the more surreal, abstract stuff. But like I said, for a good portion of the book, this was thoroughly enjoyable. I wish that it had covered more about... Now, to be fair, okay, it's covering a very vast period of time from, early Judeo art forms and early Greco-Roman all the way to current day, Judaic and Greco-Roman arts to current day. So, I mean, that's quite a huge swath of time to cover. And if nothing else, it made me want to go and dive into even deeper into some of these artists. Some of whom I was already familiar with, others whose paintings I had seen, but maybe I didn't realize whose art I was looking at for whatever reason. But I do wish there had been a bit more about the symbolism, particularly when you're dealing with the post-Reformation, where sometimes Christian symbolism would be hidden in other scenes, so that way it wouldn't look like they were maybe doing Christian art in the same way as Catholics, or maybe Catholics would be hiding their symbolism in other areas where there might be less favoritism towards Catholic art. I would have liked to see more about symbolism. Also for the symbolism for medieval art. And now I did end up picking up, partially because of this book. Nope, that's not the book I want to pull out. This one is. And partially because of the class I'm taking, I decided to break down and get a dictionary of Christian art. And this literally is just, if I go through here and I see something and I don't understand like why that's in a painting, particularly for medieval art, where you see a bunch of this, and like I said, maybe some Reformation art, post-Reformation art. But yeah, I'm hoping to be able to use this as a reference, because I didn't get as much about the I don't mean iconography as in like actual icons, but like the symbolism of things. I didn't get as much about that. There was definitely enough about actual icons in here. Although I could definitely see reading a whole book about icons, because due to the fact that there's just so much to be covered in here, this only could be a very basic overview if they wanted to, touch everything and then give you pictures to boot. So this is definitely like a Art 101, 102 kind of book. This is not your further along in your studies kind of book, because it's very much of an overview. I think I ended up giving it a 4-star rating because it is a good book. It's just, by the end, I couldn't wait to be done because of the sections on surreal and on and a modern art. Now, the one thing that this book did also very interestingly, or something I enjoyed that this book did, so you had your main book, which is written by Michelle P. Brown, who, like I said, very familiar with, enjoy her work. But she also included, I think it's about once a chapter, she would have an article included, like Christian Art in the Italian City-State, and this was written by Dr. Griffith Mann. There was one about medieval stained glass, patron and purpose, Professor Virginia Raglan. There was another one in here that I really enjoyed about Jewish artists doing Christian art. So I had already known from the Bible Illuminated that there were members of the Jewish faith who would go and they would illuminate Bibles or books of hours or things like that. So I was already familiar with that. But it was interesting to see them talk about also how you would sometimes have them have certain Jewish artists use the Christian imagery to bring something to the attention of the world at large that had to do with something going on in modern Jewish culture, particularly if it had something to do with I think it was around World War II particularly where you see this, and I don't know where the article is, but it was very interesting talking about the perspectives of Jewish artists doing Christian art and working for those for the Catholic Church, or I think it would have normally been the Catholic Church, because after that the Reformation, there was the iconoclasts, a lot of destruction of Christian art. So depending on who you're dealing with. Monastic aesthetics and the rise of Gothic art is another article. There is some stuff about metalwork in here. I guess there is a little bit about tapestry there. So yeah, I think that having the little articles, yeah, here's something about icon writer's perspective. So this person talking about his process when he does an icon. Now, when he writes an icon, it's a very small article, only a few pages, but enough to whet your appetite if you want to learn more. And that's really what I think would be the takeaway for this book. To help you figure out what areas of art history, particularly if you want to focus on Christian art, where you want to go from there. I mean, I already knew that I don't like much of the more modern stuff, simply because a lot of the stuff that they showed toward the end was ugly. I already knew I like Renaissance art. I already knew I like a decent amount of medieval art. But also seeing where, the gradual shift from medieval, well, we think of medieval art to, Renaissance art. So yeah, I would recommend this book, especially if you have a higher tolerance for what I consider the more ugly art forms. I don't think that you'll be bothered at all by the book, but just be prepared. It's quite general because it has to be considering the time period it covers. But yeah, that's all I had to say about this book. This was a good read. It was nice to be able to look at a bit of Christian art every day from some really great artists, at least until the end. And yeah, it makes me look forward to next month's Framed in September, and I already have plans for that, and I'll probably end up keeping my dictionary of Christian art nearby from when I get to that point. Anyway, that's it for this video. Don't know that's quite as coherent as I wanted it to be, but not really sure what else I can say about it. I'll probably end up unhauling this one that has no pictures in it. It's really quite puzzling to me why they would have bothered to release this without the pictures at all. Anyway, hope that you have a very blessed day, and I will see you the next time. God bless. Bye-bye.
Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea. Reading always feels so free.